Hey, so 2026 is here, and I want to talk to you today about where I was in 2025 and where I'm going in 2026. And right now, as you see me, I am talking from experience, but I sound very confident in what I'm going to talk to you about today. But the reason that I sound confident is not because I'm confident, it's because I'm courageous. And I want to talk to you about how you can get from the mindset of I'm a victim, to the mindset of like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there and I'm just going to have the courage to do so. So, first, let's define what courage is. Courage is you having a fear of doing something, but doing it anyways. Okay. So, courage does have a little bit of fear and faith in it. And I want to talk to you about that today because back in 2025, when 2025 started, I was broken. I was confused. I was back in the town where I felt like there was a lot of shame that came from it. I'll give you a little background. So I moved to New York right after my divorce became final, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I had filed for divorce because my marriage was not at its best. um, and out of respect for my children, I will just say this. So I was in a state where I had to make a tough decision. And the tough decision was I cannot be in this marriage if I cannot. The tough decision was I can't be in a marriage where I'm not loved. Um, and there is betrayal and there is disrespect. And so I'll just leave it at that. And so I filed for divorce. But the aftermath of that was so painful because betrayal is one thing, but shame mixed with betrayal is another. And I felt so much shame because I literally, and this is just my imagination, and this is something that I created within myself, is I literally imagined people laughing at me. Like people saying, look at you, you didn't know this was happening. And I literally could feel people laughing at me. I went to therapy, and therapy did enough to get me to say, I've got to get out of here. And so I left. I left, I went to New York, and I started a new life in New York. And I survived New York like no other. And then in 2025, I find myself in the same town where I had no contact with my old friends. I had no contact with anyone except for my my best friend and her family and my children because they were back here. And so it was very it was very heartbreaking for me. I was lonely. I didn't have the support that I needed. I had come back to working with people that I had left, years back, and they really didn't know the new me, the new person that I was. Um, and so I found myself just really, really down and really depressed. And I gained a lot of weight. So I moved back in November of 2024. And by January of 2025, I was at 199.5 pounds. And this is where I was just like, this is not me. What's going on? And mind you, I had already gone through therapy for my divorce, and all that stuff was like dealt with. But for me, what really caused me to be depressed is that I'm back at the place that broke me. I'm back at the place that I effing hate. Like, I hate this place. And I was so mad at God because I was like, God, why would you do this to me? Like, why would you put me back in the same place where I lost so much? I lost my home. I lost my family unit. I lost my self respect. I just, you know, I didn't want to see people that I knew had betrayed me. And all those things were running through my head. And this is where neuroplasticity comes into play. And I want to kind of teach you a little bit and what a powerful thing it is. But I want to give you a scripture that I live by every single day. And it is this: as a man thinketh, so is he. And I am a woman, so as a woman thinketh, so is she. It is so real for you to know that what you want in your life and how you want your life to be may not be at this moment. You may not see it at this moment. But the reality of it is, your brain does not know the difference between what you want or what you have. It only knows what you're creating and what you're experiencing and what you are believing. And that's where I am today. Today is January 1st of 2026. What 2025 taught me was that I needed to create new neural pathways in my brain to start believing the future me. I may not be there yet, but I will be there. I started taking the GLP-1, which really helped me to lose weight. I have lost 28.1 pounds since May using a GLP-1. I'm thankful for it. But what it also did was it got me to really start looking inside myself and being honest with myself and saying, what are you not doing that you could be doing for yourself, for your body? What are you fueling your body? And one of the things that I had been doing ever since I got divorced is I started drinking. I had never really drank much in my entire life, but alcohol was part of having fun, you know, um, being with the cool crowd. Yeah, believe it or not, you could be in your 40s and still want to be in a cool crowd. I find myself today, I made it a conscious decision 2 years ago before I moved back to where I am. I made it a conscious decision that I would stop drinking alcohol, and it was the best decision for me. And why was it the best decision for me? First of all, um, I started realizing that I needed to really start looking at the people that I was hanging around with. Who was the crowd of people that I was hanging around with? And, I started having a personal relationship with God, like one on one personal relationship with God. And at times I found myself by myself just talking to God. And I don't have a lot of friends, but the friends that I do have are unique, are special, and they bring life into my realm. And I encourage you to take a look at your friendships. Who are you talking to? Who are you walking with? Who's lifting you up and who's taking you far away from your goal? Um, at the beginning of the year, people talk about resolutions. I don't do resolutions. What I do at the beginning of the year is I look at my finances and I take a look at what I could do better and how I need to, cut back on things. I also take a look at my spirituality, my spiritual life. How am I, feeding my spiritual self? I am not a religious person, but I do believe in God and I believe in prayer, and I believe that um, God will meet you where you're at. And a lot of people believe in community, and I think that's great. But in my experience, having community um, just to have community has not served me well. I now have community based on my family, my children, based on my friends that also um, bring joy and peace into my life and accept me as I am and have grace with me. And I have those friends here. I have just, two friends here. I have my family is in Oklahoma, Puerto Rico, and New York. And I take time to visit them and I also have a sister who lives in Florida. Excuse me. Sorry, Rebecca. I forgot about Florida. And I love where she lives. Um, and I make time to visit them, make time to take time with them. But I've really become a more uh um I wouldn't say a reclusive person, but I've become a person who's very careful with who I spend time with. And, at the beginning of 2025, I was very lonely. And lonely in the sense that, when you've been in a relationship for a long time and then you have relationships after that and and then those relationships end, and I'm talking about, love relationships. You start looking at yourself and you start saying, okay, is it me? Am I the problem? And I had a lot of that junk in my head. I had a lot of that junk in my head. Am I the problem? Am I ugly? Am I not, suitable? All these things. And I started realizing that no, I'm I'm okay. Maybe this is just not the time for me to have someone, and that's fine. And I started learning how to do things by myself, for myself, traveling. I continue to travel by myself. I continue to have, small events with my kids and my mom and my sister, and I enjoy those. But it last night I went to bed at 9:50. I was by myself. My daughter came in at 2 a.m. in the morning and I gave her a hug and I told her Happy New Year and I went back to sleep. I did not count 2026 to come into play. And why is that? I think I have become more comfortable with the fact that there are certain events that we celebrate, in our world, like Christmas and New Year's and, Valentine's Day and all these beautiful, wonderful holidays that sometimes as a single person you just celebrate it by yourself. So am I going to have the victim mentality, or am I going to say, oh, this is just another day and I'm thankful for it because I am alive. And so I've learned to shift my mindset into understanding that not everything has to go the way that it's going for everybody else. I quit social media. I um I go on Facebook just to post, Merry Christmas to all and a nice picture of my family, and that's it. I use YouTube as a way of educating myself, and I read a lot of medical journals, specifically now involving, GLP-1s and weight loss journey because that's where I'm at right now. I read a lot about the neuroscience and, how we can practice certain habits. A book that has been that my sister introduced to me was Atomic Habits, and I have the audiobook and I've listened to it 3 times this year. And I'm actually thinking about going to Barnes and Nobles and getting the book myself so I can start, highlighting. And I am going to be doing that, but just different little habits that I've been making that have changed my life. And so I wanted to talk to you about neuroplasticity for a second. And I want to give you this before we leave. So, neuroplasticity is the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, strengthening existing ones, and pruning unused pathways in response to experiences, learning, and even injury. allowing for adaptation, growth, and recovery, essentially rewiring itself. Isn't that a beautiful thing that God has given us the ability to use neuroplasticity as a way of us rewiring our own brain? And that's where I want to end with you today. I want you to, I want to encourage you to take a look at your thoughts and journal. Journaling has been very important for me. I have been journaling for 5 years now, and it has really done a lifelong change for me because I'm able to go back to the previous year and see what my answers were to specific questions that have allowed me to really take a look at inside myself. But journaling is, I believe, a first way, a free way of you to start rewiring your brain and asking yourself specific questions. Like if you don't have, you know, a way to pay for a therapist, start journaling. Start asking yourself probing questions such as, who am I and what do I want? What is the one person that really hurt me, that changed the way I think about people? Things like that. I do have on my website, momentarilyspeaking.com, I do have a journal that I created that has like 60 days of different questions that you can ask yourself, and that's through the therapy that I had. And this therapist was really influential in my life because she basically allowed me to really take a look at myself and some of the ideas and stories that I was telling myself and how to rewire those ideas. Another thing that has really helped me is this book by Dr. David Barnes. See, Feeling Great. I think I'm okay. Feeling Great. This book has been like, it has different exercises that you can do on your own, and um this book was introduced by my therapist, and one of the things that I had to practice was a reversal letter. I don't know if you've heard of a reversal letter, but it really helped me. When you have someone that is never going to come back and say sorry for what they did to you, you write a reversal letter, and this letter is basically you writing a letter of apology from that person to you and what you want them to say to you. And that helped me tremendously. Like, it's just different ways for you to use neuroplasticity to just rewire your brain to changing the way you think. What if I really need to start looking at what food am I putting in my body? Do I really want to put the foods that are not going to fuel my body? Because what if all of a sudden, out of the blue, the GLP-1 it stops, and I don't have access to it? Am I going to lose weight? Am I going to continue to maintain my weight, or am I going to gain weight because I didn't change my habits? Started changing my mind about that. And I started using these thoughts of like, okay, how can I change what I'm eating now? And how can I start practicing now in case this medication is not available to me? And it changed everything. It changed everything for me. I have been working out. I have been moving and um, and doing things that I didn't do before. So in 2026, you'll see me talking more about neuroscience, about mindset shifting, about loving yourself, about self-care. And I'm really excited about what's going to happen in the new year. And I want to tell you that if you are in a state where you feel discouraged, I want to encourage you to start practicing, to think about you as your best friend. Start loving yourself first. And it just takes a little step. You don't have to do everything all at once. Just do little by little. Get that book, Atomic Habits. If you don't have a therapist, get this book, Feeling Great by Dr. Burns. I'm telling you, it's good. It's good. I love you. God bless you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.